Hello, JPAR Modern Real Estate. Today we're going to talk about your cover sheet. The cover sheet is the form you need to fill out to make sure that your compensation is correct and that we can issue a commission disbursement authorization or disbursement authorization form so you can get paid at closing. You're going to log into your Loop account. As always, we want to make sure that it does say JPAR Modern Real Estate and Premium at the top left. That means you are connected to our account. Go ahead and select the file you want to get into. In this case, will be a listing that I have that's due to close. Your cover sheet is always going to be in your seller or buyer folder. It's always going to say MRE cover sheet, and it'll say listing side or double-ended, because that's the only way you're going to double-end it is if you're on the listing also. Well, that's not the only way, but you'll be on both. And if it's a buy side, it'll just say buyer. There's also one for referrals, leases, etc. In this case, it is a listing in double-sided form. Now, when you first started your transaction, whether you're using Loop or if you're a CTME user, everything should be done the same way. You should always start in the details section. I'm going to go back to the details section, and hopefully you put as much information as possible when you started this listing, or in the buyer's case, a buyer's side of it. But we're going to go back into it to make a couple adjustments, because the more information we have in details, the more stuff will auto-populate into your cover sheet. Now, if you have a buyer and they're under contract, you know what you're getting paid. You know what the offer compensation is. It was in section 29 of your contract. You can put that in there. And if you're a listing that's under contract, you're going to know what you're getting paid regardless, unless you negotiated something down in order to get a contract under place. Your compensation should remain the same as when you started the transaction. However, if you did have something in there and it did change, you can just update it in the details section anytime you want. In this case, we're going to assume that we are under contract here for $1 million. Okay. Couple things. Number one, you only want to address your compensation. So if there is a co-op broker, we never want to address that in our system. There are other states that require that, but we do not do it in our system. We only addressed our compensation. If you have a double-ended deal, meaning there is not a representation on the other side, then you can go ahead and put in buyer's compensation, if in fact that buyer is offering to also pay you compensation not related to what the seller's already paying you. If the seller's paying 100% of the compensation, then everything can just remain on one side. You don't even have to put the other side of it in there. But in this case, we have $1 million purchase price. We're going to call it, just to make math easy, $30,000, 3%. You're going to see here it's going to give you sale commission dollars amounts, and I can put 3% here if I want. I can also do 30,000 again for my side. So again, total commission will only be our side, but your commission should reflect the exact same number here. So both 30,000. Okay. If there was a buy side split, you can put that in there. You see, we've already got our earnest money in there. There also gives you some options for client fees. So if your client is going to pay your $625, we want to go ahead and add that in there. In this case, it's a seller. There's also a line for the buyer. If you have a TC payout, maybe you're using Sue Stacy, she's $450 and an amazing TC, you would add that payout there. And if you're going to credit, maybe I'm crediting $2,000 to my client, then we would want to put their name in there. And then we want to go ahead and put the amount of the credit. Now, keep in mind, if you're on a listing, you're not going to have a credit. You're just going to have a reduction in compensation. So that will be more applicable for when you have a buyer. If you have any referrals, etc., you're going to put that information down here. Now, one thing that agents always miss is you are leader or agent one. Okay, this is going to be the amount that you get paid minus any other deductions. So in this case, if I have $30,000 and I subtract out my 625, well, actually in this case I don't have to because the client paid it, so I don't have to subtract it. But I know that's going to the brokerage. I know that's not going to come off the top, so I'm still at $30,000. But I also have to pay $2,000 to my to credit my client, and then I have a $450 TC fee. So that leaves me $27,550 that is going to be my amount. Okay, that is going to be the amount that your check should read. It's not the total compensation, which is listed up here. It's after all of your deductions should be that amount right there. Now, if your client is not paying your fee, then this is obviously going to be another $625 less than that. If you have a partner, a co-list agent, you can put their names and information in here, and you can also make sure that that's filled out. The other thing you want to pay attention to is your contract dates, right? It is going to require the day you went under contract, and we'll just say we went under contract the 1st, we're closing on the 28th, and then your rep agreement date, which is the date that you actually signed your exclusive right, which should be the same day, if not earlier than your contract agreement date, your under contract date. You want to put that there also. The last field that's going to require is going to be your deal source. Is it your own lead? Is it team provided lead, etc. Once you have that information in there, you can go ahead and hit save. Now, if you don't want to do this and you don't want to go through the details, you can just add this information directly to your cover sheet also. You don't have to do it in the details. I just prefer to do that because I've probably already addressed and put that information in there when I first started the transaction. Once you have that information in there, at any time you can click on your cover sheet. Now, the first time you open up, it's always going to give you the option to import all the information. And we always want to do that. Now, review the information, make sure it's correct. And then you want to go ahead and if it is correct, make any changes. Or if it's not correct, make any changes. But if it's correct, you can go ahead and hit autofill. And now you can see that all that information has come into this section. The cover sheet is pretty simple. Okay, let's start from the top to the bottom. The top is just the basic information. Okay, the only thing I'm missing here, which I should have pointed out, was the financing type. Anything with an asterisk, a little red asterisk, needs to be filled out. So let's just say it's a conventional loan in this case. You don't have to worry about MLS ID unless you want it. Don't worry about the approval. That's for the back end system for compliance. We don't have file numbers in Colorado, so you can ignore that. The next is going to be, this is a financial document. So you're going to have money coming in, which is always going to be your income section. So all money coming in should be up here. Then you're going to have your payouts, which is down here. So you're going to have the money coming in minus the payouts. And then you're going to have your totals down here at the bottom, any other fees you're going to pay, etc. And with the goal of your balance always being zero. That's what you want. You want every penny coming in and the top section being accounted for, and then every payment going out being accounted for. So you should have a $0 balance. Okay. Now, once you have that $0 balance, you're usually pretty good to submit it, but you want to make sure that it has your line, your name, and the amount that you're going to walk away with. It's going to have, if it had a client paid fee, that's going to be there. If you're paying the fee, let's just say you decided to get rid of it. We're going to delete that client paid fee. It's going to take it out of that client paid fee. You always want to make sure that you've added that $625 back in here. Once I remove that fee, you're going to see that all of a sudden I've got a balance. Okay. In this section, if you ever have anything but a zero, your math is off. Okay. Something is not right. Every dollar coming in has to be accounted for and going out. So this case, it's a pretty simple solution. I've got 625. I now move that from the client over to my line. I had 625 there, and now I have a zero balance again once I click outside that box. Oops, no, I do not, because that was a client paid fee. So now I see that, oh, wait a minute, I still don't have a correct balance. What do I need to do here? The easiest way to actually handle this is to go up to your payment amount and delete it. Once you delete your amount, it's still going to have your total commission. It's going to have any payouts. So in this case, I got a credit there. I've got my TC fee, and I can go ahead and put in the company name in there, TC fee LLC, and then it's going to have a balance. The easiest way to do it if you don't want to do math is to literally copy and paste this into your line, and now your balance will be zero. Okay, so again, always want the zero balance. That's how you know it's correct. Make sure that anyone that's getting a payout has a name associated with it. In this case, our client credit was Ms. Jonke. Our TC fee is TC fee LLC. We've got a zero balance. At this point, your financial side of your document is good. It's ready to go. The last part of this document will be any notes. Some people like to break down their compensation. If you're part of mentorship, you want to put mentorship program. If you're part of like Total Agent Academy, if it's an Op City lead, a Prime Street lead, just go ahead and put a note in there. And that way the compliance department knows to look for those fees, and they will be built in on the back end of this system. Down here is just going to be a checklist of things you have to do in order to submit. As a listing agent, have you set your role as listing? Do you have your seller's name, email, and phone number? Do you have the title, escrow, closer name, company name, and email? Buying agent information, the co-op broker in this case, if you're on the buy side, it'll be a listing agent, and then the other client's name. That information has to be there in order to submit. So if I feel comfortable and I've checked all those boxes, I'm good to go. I can hit save. You do not need to share this document ever. Unless you want us to review it for accuracy, you do not need to share it. The way you're going to submit your file for your cover sheet is to go up here and submit for review, which we'll go over in another video. So again, recapping, make sure your details section is filled out completely. If you're not using the details section, you'll be able to go into the cover sheet and make your updates directly there. And the other thing is, if you do update say you had a reduction in your compensation due to negotiations, and you updated it on the details section of it, you can always click on autofill at any time, and it'll bring in any of the updated information and replace the old information. As always, we hope this video helps. And as always, if you need any help at all, please reach out to us. We're here to help you.